Today, I'm calling out another content creator. A few months back, this rage baiter made a video called Why DLC Sucks Now. He argues that we don't get good DLC anymore because companies make too much profit off of microtransactions like cosmetics or pay-to-progress stuff. Look no further than GTA 5's former cinematic editor admitting the success of shark cards and online killed the chances of single-player DLC. Thanks, kids with mom's credit cards. Frothing at the mouth like a rabid Snorlax, he says this is why we aren't seeing DLCs like Undead Nightmare, Dragonborn, or Winter's Expansion that have new features or experiences to them. Basically the boomer take that $10 cat ears ruined DLC. It's me. It's my video I'm calling out. In the time since I released it, and honestly right even before I released it, we have seen some DLCs that have made me second guess my whole rampage. DLCs that show just how much $20 or $30 can really get us in a game. Ones that some people are saying are even better than their base games, maybe to the point of saving their base game. Are we entering a renaissance, a return of good DLCs? Or are we just seeing a few exceptions to the hive of scum and villainy that is modern gaming DLC. Let's get into it. Let's play a game. Look at this list of Elden Ring's base game items, all of which can only be earned by gameplay like armor pieces, weapons, and spells. If I snapped my fingers and now Elden Ring charges money for these, with comparable prices to the average live service game, how much do you think it would cost to get all of them? Go ahead, toss out a number, I'll wait. This may not be 100% accurate, but you kings are smart, you get the idea. We're guessing here. If we assumed $5 for each of the 559 armor pieces, which would put a full set at roughly 15 to 20 bucks each, that'd take us $2,795 to have full access to the game's armor. Assuming $8 per weapon, it'd cost $2,464 for all 308 of them, and assuming $8 per incantation or sorcery for all 171 of them, it'd cost you $1,368. Don't come at me if I'm one weapon off, you get the idea. Combined, this means to 100% Elden Ring's inventory, you would have to spend $6,627. I could genuinely see people selling their blood plasma to do this. And I'm not even gonna get into the costs if they started selling runes or consumables. But thank the prophets, we don't live in a world where they charge $6,627 for all of their items. We live in a world where Elden Ring charged $60 for the game, and then charges us for our time. Exploration and beating bosses rewards you. It asks us to, play the game instead of pay to skip the game. With Elden Ring having no micros in it at all, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that FromSoft has now released a DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, for $40. Whoa there, Kingerd. That's a lot of money for a DLC. Wait till you see what it includes. Depending on your levels of get good, Shadow of the Erdtree is taking people anywhere from 20 hours to dozens of hours or more to beat, has over 100 new weapons, over 30 new armor sets, over 70 boss fights, if you include major, minor, and repeat bosses, and over 40 new spells that have all been added. I keep saying over and not a specific number because at the time of recording this, it looks like a lot of people are still finding new stuff and changing these numbers as they go. I mean, what a nice problem to have. People are still finding new content in it. Anywho, the point is, compared to other games with microtransactions, the bang for the 40 bucks is over 9,000 with this DLC. Meanwhile, other games give us the heck is that? A chicken gun? Jesus. How much are they charging for that? So surely Shadow of the Erdtree is enough to debunk the claims in my old video, right? It's proof that DLC is not declining in value, right? There's just one problem with that. Not everyone wants this.
I don't want it.
Value is subjective, and there's plenty of people out there who would rather see an option to buy items in FromSoft games than buy a new experience to earn new items. Don't listen to them, FromSoft. Don't listen. Maybe if Elden Ring did bring in buckets of money from selling items, they wouldn't have felt the need to make a DLC like Shadow of the Erdtree. Instead, they could have just drip-fed in the new weapons and armor as micros over time to use in the base game. After all, people replay it plenty. And they could have done their absolute best to persuade us that this was necessary and good. Looking at you, cancelled Halo Infinite DLC and half-baked Overwatch 2 PvE mode. Not gonna add any new substantial content? That's okay, at least there's a new Battle Pass. Yeah, but Kingerd, you're talking about Eldenring, a game that's designed to be difficult. Maybe people just don't have time to deal with Erdtree's controversial difficulty. And that's why they'd be okay with buying items instead of playing for items. Okay then, let's take this to a DLC where difficulty is definitely not being argued about. Summer Games Fest 2024. The Pepe Sylvia meme of video game writers, Sam Lake, has an announcement to make. Not only is he finally giving a direct confirmation of Alan Wake 2's Night Springs DLC, giving more meaning to why Remedy changed their Twitter to Poison Pill and being located in Night Springs, but he announces it's
in less than 24 hours.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And he mentions there's a pretty mid pre-order edition of Alan Wake 2's physical release for 200 smackaroons. I may like the game, but dog, as a self-proclaimed connoisseur of pre-order editions myself, I think I'll just stick with my $30 thermos. It's fine, really. And when this DLC dropped, boy, let me tell ya, in a world of companies constantly battling with their fans over what's best for a franchise, the fan service in Night Springs was a massive breath of fresh air. Gameplay variety to please the fans of both slow exploration and fast-paced carnage, tone variety to please the horror buffs and the folks who like the wacky shenanigans. Where is he? Oh! I just got jump scared by a guy in a coffee mascot suit. Some thick story meat that's technically still canon but doesn't disrupt the base game, and a nice dose of self-deprecating humor to echo some of Alan Wake 2's biggest criticisms. It has a little something for everyone, and not to mention a line of dialogue that I will never forget. Oh my god. Oh my god. This DLC has also convinced me that every game deserves its own theme song. For the price of basically a Fortnite skin, I got 4 hours worth of laughs, lore, and layers of gore, and it was genuinely an experience I thought was Remedy at its absolute best, both with gameplay and writing. I couldn't help but replay it, so for me it was more like 8 hours of entertainment. So many fans love this DLC, it's actually become a topic of discussion whether or not it's better than the base game. And man, that's pretty good. That's a sign you got a good DLC. What about a DLC that might have just saved a game though? A DLC that is so widely loved, it is kind of hard to find people talking about the base game without also mentioning this add-on. I would be terrible at talking about substantial DLC if I didn't mention Cyberpunk's Phantom Liberty expansion. I crapped on Cyberpunk back in the early don't pre-order days, and the then upcoming Phantom Liberty was a product that I expressed caution about pre-ordering, thanks to the notoriously bad launch of the base game. I still feel that way about any game, but no need to keep beating that horse's corpse today.
And a finished game, and it don't look good. What you gonna do? Reorder!
In the case of Phantom Liberty, thankfully both the patient and the impatient alike were rewarded with an expansion so massive. Plenty of people have said they prefer this DLC over its base game too. A new story and area, new weapons, cars, clothes, skills, and mission types gave players the best of both worlds, new items and experiences, which I would think helps make its price point of $30 all the more justified. Wouldn't you agree? You can even skip the base game and go straight into Phantom Liberty if you want to. But I'd say in a court of public opinion, Cyberpunk needed a new, big DLC to get this game back in people's good graces. The fans knew it had improved since launch, sure, but Cyberpunk was still openly mocked in regular gamer discourse for years. But at Phantom Liberty's launch, people bowed to it. But guess what? Every bit of this goes back to perceived value. The beauty of a DLC is in the eye of its beholder. Would a DLC like the ones mentioned so far turn every hater into a fan? No. Would everyone agree that for $20, $30, or $40, they'd prefer to get new experiences over a new cosmetic item for their money? No, for some reason.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
You know a DLC that should not be controversial? God of War Ragnarok's Valhalla DLC came free for owners of the base game, a game that already didn't have microtransactions, by the way. It gave several hours of new areas, bosses, and heaps of callbacks for fans of the older God of War games. A strategy to boost game sales, but I bet everyone liked that. But Kingerd! All the games you've mentioned so far are single-player games. This type of DLC doesn't work in multiplayer games. Well, let's talk about that. On that subject, against the main sentiment of that last video, I do concede that if you try to put experiences as DLC into a multiplayer game, it usually takes the form of map packs, characters, weapons, levels, or abilities that are behind paywalls and can break the balance of a multiplayer game. Like when Halo 3 wouldn't let you play certain game types without all the map packs, it can fracture the player base. Or like several live service games on the market right now, it can give game payers an unfair advantage over game players. All bad, no good, get them out of here. But the DLC we get in PvP games does open up a can of worms that, honestly, it's up to you to decide what you prefer. Nowadays, PvP DLC doesn't usually mean buying an experience where you know what you'll get. It means buying some kind of cosmetic, like a skin or a battle pass. And yes, we know what cosmetic we're buying, but when it comes to new experiences, it's kind of like rolling the dice a little bit. Exactly what kind of support will the game get after I give them my money for this battle pass, and for how long? Exactly what kind of new content will get added next if we as a player base buy enough cosmetics? Now this all goes out the window, of course, if you love the current state of the game and don't need something else to be added to it to still love it. Obviously, if someone out there is thinking of a good time to actually buy a microtransaction, that's probably the best time to do it. Don't be an idiot like me and blow money in your favorite game store because you hope they're gonna add X, Y, or Z to it later. Then you'll never be disappointed. I was disappointed.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Depending on the game, a so-called too big to fail type like Call of Duty, you can almost guarantee that new modes and maps will regularly cycle in and out over time. This is not the case with every game though. Sometimes support just gets cut off. Rest in peace, Splitgate. Oh, did you spend $500 in the Splitgate in-game store? Well, not enough other people did, so...
You get nothing!
Come back for the sequel, though.
What the hell is even that?
This is where your personal preference comes in. Buying cosmetics puts us at the mercy of the companies behind the game. Will the game get improved, and what will change? Will we even like those changes, like a no-build mode in Fortnite, or will we hate those changes like an emphasis on cars with mounted grenade launchers that can level a building in seconds? I don't know, but keep buying those V-Bucks and wait for the next update. Buy, buy, buy! But the pro with this kind of purchase is that you get to choose what you do or don't spend, and you'll still get access to the next experience anyway. Maybe other people will spend enough money to make it worth the company's time to put out new content. Or maybe you're the whale that gets the shaft when the game loses its support. You're thousands of dollars straight down the drain. Okay. For some people, they might even prefer the way Destiny 2 does it, implementing both the small microtransactions and charging for expansions. I haven't played Destiny 2 in a few years now, but the reception of its Final Shape DLC looks positive enough. I guess let us know in the comments if you've played it and what you think of it. All in all, I don't think it's fair to compare one-to-one single-player DLC with multiplayer DLC. They're just different beasts. Quit with the ridiculous prices though, my god.
Is it good for Halo that now we have to spend $10 for blue?
Now for the games that have both single-player and multiplayer, dude. We ain't getting DLC if the skin sales in multiplayer are going well, that's just a fact. You want to see campaign DLC? Then stop scooping up the newest $20 sniper camo every week. Whales, might I introduce you to the bed you made? What about you though? Do you prefer buying a new experience for a set price that you know you'll get at purchase? Or do you prefer controlling how much you do or don't spend on cosmetics with the hope of getting new experiences later? Thank you channel members for voting on the topic of today's video, and as always, thanks for watching. Carry on, you kings. Will that be entertaining or will I get made fun of? Or both. We'll see. I'm out of breath. Gotta make these YouTube videos to feed you dogs.